Beyond the North Wind, Chapter 21. Siegfried uncovered Gunnar's body one stone at a time. He wore black rubber gloves and placed the white stones to one side of the grave. Fridtjof prodded the body with a stick broken from a tree. Grey ash blew up in the air as he poked about. She used lime. He uncovered some half-burnt black bricks in the grave, and some charcoal to burn the body. The rain put out the fire soon enough. Fridtjof had his scarf wrapped over his mouth and sounded muffled and unhappy. Why did she do this? This is a poor effort at burial. This is a scandal. We must not mention this to anyone. Anna has not been right since Emil went missing, but she is too stubborn to take any help. Perhaps she did not like the smell. He removed more stones and uncovered the hindquarters. Also, Gunnar was a large dog. She would have had to dig a deep grave. Both men stepped away as the smell of decomposition swirled in the air, holding scarves to their faces. I will dig a proper grave here with Steinar's help. He is young and fit, and he will make the grave deep. Fridtjof turned his gaze to the church by the edge of the fjord. We should honour Emil as well. What if Anna finds Emil on her travels? That is very unlikely. Siegfried picked up the pot of red geraniums and placed it on the wall bordering the pasture. He lit a cigarette and the end turned red as he inhaled. Anna needs help in her situation. Fridtjof accepted another cigarette lit by Siegfried and drew in the smoke. What help could we give her? Siegfried rested against the wall, enjoying his smoke. If Alva was to disappear, what help could I give you? Or if my Greta vanished, what could you do for me? You would search for her with me, old friend, wouldn't you? Of course, as we all searched for Emil. We were out for days on the glacier and all along the coast and all points in between, and we found nothing. We went home empty-handed. Siegfried coughed and put a hand on his chest. Poor Anna has had to live without Emil for a long time, yet the pain is still raw. He stared at the shallow grave. At least Gunnar was there to keep her company. The two men were silent for a while. Siegfried stepped over the wall and inspected the sheep cairn. White bones peeked up through a gap in the dark stones. Fridtjof joined him. She was in two minds, I think, torn between burying Gunnar as one would a person, or disposing of him as an animal, as quickly as possible. They stood back over the grave, and Siegfried noticed the burnt fabric under Gunnar's body. She wrapped him in his blanket. That was a loving touch. Fridtjof snorted. He looked around the farm and up into the hills. This is a woman who cared so much she had to run away. Put yourself in her shoes, dear friend. Siegfried did up his jacket as the wind began to bite. First Emil, then Gunnar. This is the place where her life soured like leftover milk. She lost her husband, and then she lost her dog. Which one of us would want to stay with those ghosts hanging around? Siegfried stubbed his cigarette into the ground. Come on, I have the tractor. I will take you home. The men walked back to the farmhouse and the tractor waiting by the barn. Sylvia and her flock were huddled under the tree nearest to the farmhouse. Steinar can also take the flock down to my orchards, said Fridtjof. Siegfried looked around the summer farm. We should persuade Anna to do something with this place, either renovate it for the winter, or lease it out, or sell it. She cannot manage it alone in the winter, not in this state. She should stay with her sister in Inari. The two men stopped outside the barn. That was messy work, said Siegfried. Let's have a drink, to wash away the smell of death. He pulled open the barn doors and they entered, walking past more tractors and farming equipment. The loft area was reached by a set of wooden stairs at the back of the building. The steps were made from rough planks that promised to leave splinters in their hands as they made their way up. Both men bowed their heads, ducking through the narrow gap at the top of the stairs. They emerged onto a wide wooden platform covered with hundreds of red potatoes scattered throughout a bedding of straw. The faint smell of fermentation was present, a pleasant winey smell. Along one side of the wall was a copper vessel and a still on a bench above which was a cupboard. Siegfried lifted the lid off a stainless steel vessel and inhaled the aroma. He inspected the 12-volt battery on the floor. The wires ran up to a flat black hot plate. "Is the new arrangement working well?" asked Fridtjof. "Very well. The hot plate is much safer than a naked flame." His hand rang along the coiled pipe they called the worm. "That is the way we started with Varg." Fridtjof crossed himself. Siegfried completed his inspection of the apparatus. "Some of the old ways carry on. This setup will last a good while." He took 2 mugs off hooks on the wall. Fridtjof settled down on a wooden chair to look out through a small door with a window at the end of the loft area. There was a pulley from which a thick rope hung down to the ground below. "Steiner can do the heavy lifting this season. Pull the potatoes up in a bucket." He laughed. "We must make sure we do not wear the young man out." Siegfried poured a generous splash of a clear liquid into a chipped and enamelled mug. "With coffee or apple juice?" "Apple. I've had my coffee for the day. Any more and I'll be leaving Alva the farm." "What did the doctor say?" "Some exercise, some alcohol, but less coffee." Fridtjof shook his head. Siegfried handed him the mug. Fridtjof waited for him to pour his own drink, tempered with coffee. "It's always cask for you." "I have a snowplough to drive. I need to stay sharp." They chinked mugs to faithful Gunnar and to the unfortunate Emil. They were silent again. To brave Anna, they chinked mugs. Fridtjof swirled his drink around in the mug. "Does she really think Emil is out there, frozen in the ice?" Siegfried shrugged. "I once found a man in the snow who had been out drinking. He had fallen off his bike into a drift and couldn't get out. He survived because of the cold, the doctors told me." Siegfried clinked his mug again with Fridtjof's. "Skål," they declared together. There was a noise outside of someone walking up the stony path. Fridtjof looked out of the window. "It is Tuva, Steiner's wife. She is heading towards the milking shed. Brunost and Prim for the weeks ahead." Both men stood up slowly, holding their backs. "Ready to clear the way in your plough?" "As long as there is no one hidden in a drift." They descended the stairs carefully and shut up the barn.